Aspiring Hollywood is where you can see them before the glitz and glamour, that is, before they become big superstars, such as Johnny Otto, who is a very talented filmmaker. He's an actor, producer, director, writer, and editor with several titles currently in production and 14 past film and video credits. I've watched his reel and was very impressed with the creativity, the editing skills, and overall production value. Johnny, welcome to the show.
I want to meet that guy. He sounds cool.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us about yourself. What do you do?
Unfortunately, I do a little bit of everything because, you know, when you're a starving artist filmmaker and you don't really have a budget to work with, you tend to pick up a little bit of everything along the way. I went to film school in Canada, and that's when I first learned that you have to really get into everything, from the camera work to the lighting to the editing. You just have to get in there and do a little bit of everything. You know? That's
what I saw in the demo reel. You're doing it all. I mean, you're in front of the camera, you're behind the camera, you're on top of the camera, you're editing.
I am the camera.
You are the camera, exactly. So how does that work when you're in front and behind the camera?
It's tricky, but it's also convenient because you don't have to sign contracts with yourself, and you usually show up on time. But I don't know. I never set out to be an actor, but it just turned out that, you know, when I'm making my own stuff, I like to be in it, and just because I know what I expect from myself.
Sure.
So it's also a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
Just to get together with your friends that are actors or whatever and be part of it, you know.
Now, I did see a very cool editing move that you did when you actually punched yourself on screen.
That was some special effects stuff, which I also do, yeah.
Yeah.
I got into doing some special effects work maybe about a year or two ago, and just found it really interesting. So I really just dived into it and started tinkering with different things, and that's like a split screen thing that you do, and
right.
You can do that. I wouldn't say easily, but I got the hang of it, you know. So.
Well, it looked very realistic when I watched it. So tell me about your current project.
I finished a short film, which is what you saw, which is called "I'm Not Alone," and it's more than a short film. It's something I'm trying to pitch as a feature. So I'm trying to use that. It's a 20-minute piece, which I hope to turn into a feature, like a maybe 90-minute or so feature. So I'm shopping that around right now. I had a screening recently of that in Hollywood. And then I also did a music video, which I believe you saw on that reel, which was for a Moby song off his new album.
Talk a little bit about the Walt Disney. I mean, that's something that I watched and I found it to be very funny.
Yeah, it's called Bring Me the Head of Walt Disney. It was a mockumentary feature that I did. It was 90 minutes. And then I did a trailer of it because I wanted to pitch it as a TV show now, where I would go around the country with my co-star and examine different folklore, like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, Chupacabra or whatever. In this instance, we went looking for Disney's Frozen Head because that's been something that I've always been fascinated by. You know?
Right. Now, the short that you say you want to turn into a feature, what's that about?
That's called I'm Not Alone.
I'm Not Alone.
And it's a 20-minute short that I did. And it's a thriller. It's about a girl who thinks that someone's using her apartment when she's not around.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of spooky and creepy, and girls tend to get creeped out by it pretty easily.
Right.
But it's something I'm shopping it to several people right now, trying to get funding to do a feature for that. Mm-hmm. And then I'm always, you know, generating new stuff, so I'm working on other projects as well. I have a Kickstarter project which I'm doing called Soma. It's for a TV pilot, and I'm just getting that started and trying to use Kickstarter to fund it. Is it
sort of like Indiegogo? Is that?
Yeah,
is it similar?
It's actually bigger.
Yeah.
They have more.
Oh, it is.
They have I think close to 400,000 people that go and check it out on a regular basis.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because you know, filmmakers, you know, they watch Aspiring Hollywood and they see these great talented people that are actually working and doing things, and they're saying, well, that's great, but how do I get started? Let's say that I live someplace in the Midwest or someplace away from Hollywood. You know, what do I do? You know, what's the first thing that I do to get
you know,
started?
I grew up away from Hollywood. I grew up in Canada, and in a very small town of 200,000 people. So the first thing I did was I was shooting stuff on video when video first came out in the 80s with these monstrous cameras, do you know what I mean? And you just shoot on anything you can. Nowadays you can shoot on an iPhone, you can shoot on a little flip or the new Hero camera or anything. There's a multitude of different ways of shooting now that are acceptable. It's almost more interesting to shoot on something that's low budget because it's gimmicky, like shooting a
Right.
feature on an iPhone. So it doesn't really matter where you are either. There's festivals all over the country that have a lot of great films in them and are getting recognition. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'd say just grab a camera and shoot something and learn as much as you can. Learn how to edit, learn how to light, learn how to work with actors, learn how to do effects. You know, just learn everything you can and teach yourself. Or if you can't afford to go to film school, the best thing to do is just buy a camera and shoot.
Right, and that's another thing. You know, how do you finance your projects? You know, people will want to know. Yeah.
I financed them by saving up for about 3 years, everything I could to buy a decent camera. I bought a DVX 100A. This was when it first came out, and it was considered the camera to have. Right. Now it's considered old school, but I still love it. It's a great camera. But first thing you do is just save up, buy a camera, whatever you can afford. It doesn't have to be an expensive one, because like I said, you can shoot on anything now. And just start doing it. Pick up some software, start editing, experimenting with your friends. If you can't get SAG actors or actors that are in a union, your friends will do it. You work with your friends. You build up over a period of time. You build up some short films or music videos or whatever interests you. You know.
And then what do you do next? Because a lot of times these independent filmmakers, you know, will get so wrapped up in the story or in the project and shooting it, the lights, the camera. You know, it's all very exciting, and I know it happened to me, you know, as well when I got started. But I think it's very important to know where this project is going to go next.
Yeah, you have to really be a PR machine afterwards, you know. And like a few years ago, I did a bunch of short films. I shot a short film every Sunday for 7 weeks in a row. So 7 short films in 7 weeks.
Wow.
And I wanted to get some PR on it. So I started writing to everybody I could think of, every editor of every film magazine, every movie blog, whatever. Nobody responded. And then a week or so before my screening, the editor of Movie Maker magazine wrote to me and said, "Do you want to do an interview with us?" I was like, "Of course." Wow. So I did an interview with them, and that kind of helped snowball some other things. Do you know what I mean? Get people to take the films a little bit more seriously, get some PR. And then it gave me confidence to do more PR.
Right.
So you just have to get out there and do everything you can do and get some FaceTime on things like this, which
like
is great.
Aspiring Hollywood.
This is great. I'm glad that you're doing this. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, you know, folks, the viewers know about it. Aspiring Hollywood is really about trying to promote the independent film community.
Yeah.
You know, the entertainment, not only filmmakers, mind you, it's, you know, musicians, singers, comedians, you know, what have you.
Yeah, everybody.
You know, that's what this platform is all about.
Well, there's a big community of people in Hollywood that don't get to be on the top shows. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And they're hardworking people that are out there doing a lot of good work. And it's great that you have something like this for people. You know.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a great market to cater to, because you know, I love filmmakers, so and the entertainment community. Yeah. You know, but that brings me to the next question, which is, what was the defining moment of your career? You know, what was that one thing that separated you from wanting to do it, from sitting at Starbucks, let's say, and talking about, man, I'm going to make my next short, to actually doing it? What happened? I
never sat at Starbucks. I'm the guy who, like, when we were little kids, my dad bought us a Super 8 and we just started shooting. So since I was a little kid, I've been making films.
Well, that's interesting to know. Yeah.
My brother and I would do plays in the backyard. We'd recreate the Titanic for the neighborhood kids, and we'd shoot films and show them in the basement for a nickel. Do you know what I mean? So I've been doing it for like a long time. So I was never the type of person to just sit around and think about doing it.
And talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's the key is don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Just grab a camera, shoot something. You won't be good at first, but you'll get good at it. Everything takes a while. They say it takes about 10 years to get good at anything, whether you're a musician, a filmmaker, a writer, a painter, a composer, even Mozart and Beethoven. Yes, they were writing at young ages, but their real genius came at a later age.
It's always a work in progress, right?
Start whenever the inspiration hits you. If
Right.
you're young, if you're older, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You're lucky if you're a filmmaker because you can be behind a camera.
Right, exactly.
You know,
And that's all great advice. Is there anything else that you want to bring to light?
I would say there's a lot of good opportunities out there for self-funding. I'm starting to use Kickstarter to fund my next project. I have like a link now on my website for that where you can go and find out about it.
Now talk a little bit about Kickstarter. How does that work exactly?
You set up a creative project on it. Like, could be if you want to record an album, if you're a band, if you want to make a short film or a feature or whatever you want to do. It's creative, and you're not just looking for someone to support you while you sit on your couch. You set up your project. You give as much information as you can about it, and then you set a goal of how much money you need and a period of time to raise it in. If you don't raise it in that period of time, no money exchanges hands, you don't lose anything, your funders don't lose anything.
Oh, I see. So the money, so you get pledges,
Pledges.
Is that
People
it?
pledge
then,
money,
okay.
and in exchange for, there's different tiers. If you do $1, you get this amount of rewards. $5 this. You get to set up what you want to give your people for donating. So for like $50, you get a DVD, you know, and for $1,000, you might be a producer.
Right.
Or get a credit, do you know what I mean? Or something.
Yeah.
You decide as a filmmaker what you want to give as a reward for
and
people.
this pledges through a credit card, or how does that work?
I think it works through PayPal.
PayPal.
I think they have it set up that way, yeah.
Wow.
And then, you know, the Sundance Institute is using it now. They have a big thing going on with them. And it's getting a lot of motion, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is great. So more people are going to go on, and I think it's a real good viable alternative for funding low budget projects.
Yeah.
You're not going to raise $2 million on it, but you can raise 30 grand.
Sure,
you know?
Well, and it's, I mean, the independent film community has changed tremendously since 10 years ago when I got started in
Well,
this.
there's no internet before.
Yeah.
How did you reach out to people? How did you show your stuff?
Film festivals, when you have to do screenings,
Yeah,
right?
now, but if you don't get accepted, then what? You know?
Yeah.
I've tried a few film festivals, and it's tough. But now you can do it through the internet. You can show people, I sent you my stuff online.
Sure.
You know, you can show people on Facebook or, you know, whatever. There's like all these ways to for self-PR.
So essentially, the internet has become the world's movie theater.
Yeah,
that is
for everything. For whether you're a musician or a painter or anything, you can reach people like all over the world. Like you have random people from like Europe writing to you saying, "I love your stuff" or whatever, and you're like, "How'd you even hear about me?"
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
No, this is great, Johnny. Thank you so much for,
oh my God.
for coming down to
Thank
Aspiring
you.
Hollywood.
It was great meeting you. I love what you're doing here. So.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to check out JohnnyOtto.com where you can see his great demo reel. And come back and visit us again at AspiringHollywood.com. Until then, I'm Luciano Saber for Aspiring Hollywood. See you next time.